In Module 2, we will study the findings of the National Reading Panel's answers to questions regarding the Big 5 essential components of reading. Let's look first at their answers by beginning our study by thinking about how children, whether they are young or an older child immigrant from another country, connects their speaking or oral language to the squiggles on a page. Because that is what readers must do. This process involves 3 key components. Think for a second about a young child or an English language learner you know. What does he or she show you in terms of connecting oral language to print? Reflecting on these key components of print, words, and alphabetics or letter sound associations help us to see the importance of 2 essential elements to reading: phonological awareness and phonics. You can see that importance reflected in the ELA standards. Notice the strand of reading, foundational, and how the key subheadings identify print concepts, phonological awareness, and phonics. The standards are organized to show the development of readers and how these key components lead to fluency. Let's see how these components emerge in a young reader. What do you notice about his print concepts?
I'm going to read you this story, and I want you to help me, okay? Okay. Can you show me the front of this book? I want you to show me. Where's the front?
Walking.
Okay, thank you. All right. I'll read this story. You help me. Show me where to start reading. Where do I begin to read? Where do I start to read? Right there? Okay, thank you. I walked up the hill, looking up and down. Show me where to start. Where do I start? Okay. Which way do I go? Okay. Where do I go after that? Okay.
Tree.
Mm-hmm. Now, point to the words while I read. Can you point to the words? Okay.
You were watching an observational tool, Stones, by Marie Clay. She developed this assessment to check on a child's understandings of the functions of print. As you watch the video, you can see the many understandings of print a reader must become aware of. You probably notice with this young reader, the squiggles, or print, do not hold as much meaning as the illustrations or images in a book. So we as teachers must help children focus on the squiggles. We can do this in many ways, like by reading aloud a picture book, by pointing out print in our environments, like Target and McDonald's, and by using rhymes and songs and music to help children hear how those squiggles connect to print. Let's watch how a teacher does this in her classroom as she connects the children's names to syllables.
Okay, now we're going to be paying attention over here. I want all of you to count the syllables in your name by either using your clapping trick or your finger trick. And then you are going to line up behind either Team Kite, which is how many syllables?
1,
Team Ruler, 2, or Team Basketball, which is?
2.
So let's do an example. Natalie, how many syllables do you have in your name? All right, let's do one trick for Natalie. Let's do our clapping sound. Okay, now.
What you heard is referred to as phonological awareness. It's a broad skill that includes identifying and manipulating units of oral language. It's important for children to become aware of the beats or the syllables in speech. These will become manipulative units for the child to decode in the reading of text. Now, hearing the chunks in speech is much easier than the less abstract awareness of listening to individual sounds in speech. An individual sound is called a phoneme. Phonemic awareness refers to the specific ability to focus on and manipulate individual sounds. For example, the word go has 2 distinct phonemes, g, o. We can help children hear individual sounds by using David L. Conan's sound boxes. Children separate sounds by sliding pennies into individual sound boxes. For example, How would you slide pennies for the word nest? Do you hear a sound for each of the boxes? 4 phonemes. How Conan boxes help a child to see how those sounds can be separated or segmented. Instruction in phonemic awareness includes teaching children to focus on and manipulate phonemes then. A teacher can read a book like Silly Sally Went to Town Walking Backwards Upside Down and help children to manipulate the sounds in words by helping them change the initial sounds of town to down and pig to wig or loon to tune. The teacher can also help the children add sounds to the end of a word by putting a s on pig and making pigs, or taking away the k from cat and asking them to hear what is left, the at. Many times teachers use hand gestures or manipulatives to do this. Copy and paste the URL on the slide to your browser and see an example of such instruction. An important concept for teachers to teach children is onsets and rhymes. Being able to manipulate onsets in words is useful when decoding words. Let me explain. An onset is the part of the word or letters preceding the vowel in a single syllable. The rhyme is the part of the single syllable which begins with the vowel. Look at this example. Man. The onset is the and the rhyme is the an. Knowing how to manipulate rhymes like and greatly aids a child's reading vocabulary. Think of how many words a child could build from and, like ran, can, dan. Now it's important to remember that phonemic awareness is not the same as phonics. Phonics entails teaching students how to use letter-sound associations. However, the National Reading Panel selected phonemic awareness for review and analysis because phonemic awareness and letter knowledge are the two best school entry predictors of how well children will learn to read during the first 2 years of instruction. The National Reading Panel found, as it reviewed studies, that teaching children to manipulate phonemes in words was highly effective. So let's look more closely at this thing called phonics. Phonics is the relationship between letters and sounds. A child must be able to identify a letter or a letter pattern and then convert that letter or letter pattern to a corresponding sound in speech. Several phonics concepts must be taught, but the most essential understanding involves the idea that our 26 letters in the English language comprise 2 basic categories: consonants and vowels. Consonants are letters like B, D, and T. Vowels are letters like A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y or W. We can see relationships between consonants and vowels. Most curriculum introduce consonants first, as their sounds are more predictable, or more likely to be consistent. Key concepts teachers must know are consonant blends, consonant digraphs, diphthong, vowel digraphs, R-controlled vowels, as well as some key generalizations like the hard and soft sounds of C and G and medial vowels. Concepts about these particular ideas are located in your resource, handout number 4. But let's look briefly at what these entail. Consonant blends are letter patterns in which each phoneme is heard, like in the word smile or flap. A correlation of blending letter patterns with vowels is known as a diphthong. It's a vowel letter pattern known as a glider. Listen to the vowel sounds in flower, joy. Do you hear how the medial vowel sounds glide? Now, consonant digraphs, on the other hand, are letter patterns in which 2 letters are associated with only one sound, like in the word chop. So in words like this, each of the letters do not blend. Ch is only one sound. A corresponding letter pattern for vowels is known as a vowel digraph. It too includes 2 letters with an associating one vowel sound, like goat. Other important vowel letter patterns are R-controlled vowels. That just means that in letter patterns with a vowel and the letter R, the sound of the R distorts the vowel pattern to emphasize more of the sound. You can hear that letter sound association in words like stir, or burst, or herd. In our English language, there are some generalizations found in the way sounds and letter patterns relate. For example, look at these two generalizations. What do you notice about how the C and the G reflect the sounds of S or K or G or J? As you pronounce the words, what do you notice about the clues to how to figure out when to say K or S or G or J? You probably notice that the letter patterns of CI or CE or CY often reflect a sound of S, or the letter patterns of GA or GO or GU reflect the hard sound of G. We refer to this as a generalization because the letter pattern and corresponding sound association generally occur in written English language. Similar generalizations can be determined with medial vowels. Look at this text. The cat is back at bat. In the words cat and back and bat, you will notice a letter pattern, a consonant, and then a vowel, and then another consonant. That CVC pattern typically generates a medial vowel sound of a short vowel sound. This type of syllable is referred to as closed because the consonants are like bookends or pieces of bread to the vowel sandwich. While the utility of this generalization is only 62% in English print, that percentage increases more in beginning reader text, where often only one-syllable words occur. Another common medial vowel generalization that young readers need instruction with involves the concept of silent E. Listen to this text. A snake tries to bake a cake. As you notice the letters in cake, you can see there is a consonant, then a vowel, and then another consonant, but also a vowel of E. That E impacts the first vowel by changing it to a long vowel or make your name vowel sound. We refer to this as a CVCE generalization. Again, the utility of 60% increases in beginning reader text. The National Reading Panel was adamant in their findings that teachers understand that phonics is a means to an end. Seeing letter-sound relationships is most important when applied to the real reading of a book or a text. In other words, teaching the skills of phonics concepts is essential to reading, but that application of those skills must be demonstrated in real connected reading of a text. To practice applying these phonics skills, please refer to handout number 5. Complete it and then check your answers by looking in handout number 6.